Okay, tonight is the 3rd of August, and this is the 18th time we are talking on the Digha Nikaya Suttas. Tonight we come to Sutta number 23, Payasi Sutta. It's about Payasi. Thus have I heard. Once the Venerable Kumara Kassapa was touring round Kosala with a large company of about 500 monks, and he came to stay at a town called Setavya. He stayed to the north of Setavya in the Singsapa forest, and at that time Prince Payasi was living at Setavya, a populous place full of grass, timber, water and corn, which had been given to him by King Pasenadi of Kosala as a royal gift and with royal powers. And Prince Payasi developed the following evil opinion: there is no other world, there are no spontaneously born beings, there is no fruit or result of good or evil deeds. Stop here for a moment. This view is called worldly wrong view. That there is no karma vipaka, that there are no other worlds of rebirth. The third thing not mentioned here is there are no holy men. Meanwhile, the Brahmins and householders of Setavya heard the news. The ascetic Kumara Kassapa, a disciple of the ascetic Gotama, is touring round Kosala with a large company of about 500 monks. He has arrived at Setavya and is staying to the north of Setavya in the Singsapa forest. And concerning the Reverend Kassapa, a good report has been spread about. He is learned, experienced, wise, well informed, a fine speaker, able to give good replies, venerable and arahant. And it's good to see such arahants. And so the Brahmins and householders of Setavya, leaving Setavya by the north gate in large numbers, made for the Singsapa forest. And just then Prince Payasi had gone up to the veranda for his midday rest. Seeing all the Brahmins and householders making for the Singsapa forest, he asked his steward why. The steward said, "Sir, it is the ascetic Kumara Kassapa, a disciple of the ascetic Gotama," etc., etc. And concerning him, a good report has been spread about. That is why they are going to see him. And he said, "Well then, steward, you go to the Brahmins and householders of Setavya and say, 'Gentlemen, Prince Payasi says, please wait. The prince will come to see the ascetic Kumara Kassapa.' Already this ascetic Kumara Kassapa has been teaching these foolish and inexperienced Brahmins and householders of Setavya that there is another world, that there are spontaneously born beings, and that there is fruit and result of good and evil deeds. But no such things exist." And the steward said, "Very good, sir," and delivered the message. So, sorry for a moment. So here, he knows what the Buddha and the Buddha's disciples teach, and to him, the Buddha and Buddha's disciples teach wrong view, so he wanted to go and probably have a debate. Then Prince Payasi, accompanied by the Brahmins and householders of Setavya, went to the Singsapa forest, where the Venerable Kumara Kassapa was. Having exchanged courtesies with the Venerable Kumara Kassapa, he sat down to one side, and some of the Brahmins and householders saluted the Venerable Kumara Kassapa and then sat down to one side, while some first exchanged courtesies with him. Some saluted him with joined palms, some announced their name and clan, and some silently sat down to one side. Then Prince Payasi said to the Venerable Kumara Kassapa, "Reverend Kassapa, I hold to this tenet and this view. There is no other world. There are no spontaneously born beings. There is no fruit or result of good or evil deeds." And Venerable Kumara Kassapa said, "Well, Prince, I have never seen or heard of such a tenet or view as you declare. And so, Prince, I will question you about it, and you shall reply as you think fit. What do you think, Prince? Are the sun and the moon in this world or another? Are they gods or humans?" And he replied, Reverend Kassapa, they are in another world, and they are gods, not humans. Then Venerable Kassapa said, in the same way, Prince, you should consider there is another world. There are spontaneously born beings. There is fruit and result of good and evil deeds. Stop here for a moment. So here he says, there is no other world, but immediately this Venerable Kumara made him acknowledge that when he says the sun and the moon, he refers to the sun and the moon god. Since the sun can be seen and the moon can be seen, and the Indian belief is that they have gods there. So, and he acknowledges that they are gods and they are in another world. So immediately his argument is refuted by Reverend Kassapa. But he was quite stubborn, so he continued. Whatever you may say about that, Reverend Kassapa, I still think there is no other world. There are no spontaneously born beings, and there is no fruit or result of good and evil deeds. And the Venerable Kassapa asked, have you any reasons for this assertion, Prince? And he said, I have, Reverend Kassapa. How is that, Prince? Reverend Kassapa, I have friends, colleagues, and blood relations who take life, take what is not given, commit sexual offenses, tell lies, use abusive, harsh, and frivolous speech, who are greedy, full of hatred, and hold wrong views. Eventually, they become ill, suffering, diseased, and when I am sure they will not recover, I go to them and say, there are certain ascetics and Brahmins who declare and believe that those who take life, etc., hold wrong views, will after death, at the breaking up of the body, be born in a state of woe, an evil place, a place of punishment in hell. Now you have done these things, and if what these ascetics and Brahmins say is true, that is where you will go. Now if after death you go to a state of woe, to hell, come to me and declare that there is another world. There are spontaneously born beings. There is fruit and result of good and evil deeds. You, gentlemen, are trustworthy and dependable, and what you have seen shall be as if I had seen it myself. So it will be. But although they agreed, they neither came to tell me nor did they send a messenger. That, Reverend Kassapa, is my reason for maintaining there is no other world. There are no spontaneously born beings. There is no fruit or result of good or evil deeds. And Arahant said, as to that, Prince, I will question you about it, and you shall reply as you think fit. What do you think, Prince? Suppose they were to bring a thief before you caught in the act, and say, this man, Lord, is a thief caught in the act. Sentence him to any punishment you wish. And you might say, bind this man's arms tightly behind him with a strong rope, shave his head closely, and lead him to the rough sound of a drum through the streets and squares, and out through the southern gate, and there cut off his head. And they, saying, very good, in assent, might lead him out through the southern gate, and there cut off his head. Now if that thief were to say to the executioners, good executioners, in this town or village I have friends, colleagues, and blood relations. Please wait till I have visited them. Would he get his wish? Or would they just cut off that talkative thief's head? And Payasi said, he would not get his wish, Reverend Kassapa. They would just cut off his head. So, Prince, this thief could not even get his human executioners to wait while he visited his friends and relations. So how can your friends, colleagues, and blood relations who have committed all these misdeeds, having died and gone to a place of woe, prevail upon the warders of hell, saying, good warders of hell, please wait till we report to Prince Payasi there is another world. There are spontaneously born beings. There is fruit and result of good and evil deeds. Therefore, Prince, admit that there is another world. Stop here for a moment. So here this Venerable Kassapa, he gives a very good example. Because this Payasi says, those people who have broken all the precepts, they expect to go to hell, and he asks them to come back. But this Reverend Kassapa shows him that even in this human world, when somebody is to be executed. He has no chance to inform his relatives or friends. Whatever you may say about that, Reverend Kassapa, I still think that there is no other world. Have you any reason for this assertion, Prince? I have, Reverend Kassapa. What is that, Prince? Reverend Kassapa, I have friends, etc., who abstain from taking life, from taking what is not given, from committing sexual offenses, from telling lies or using abusive, harsh, and frivolous speech, who are not greedy or full of hatred, and who have right views. Eventually they become ill, etc. And when I am sure they will not recover, I go to them and say, there are certain ascetics and Brahmins who declare and believe that those who abstain from taking life, etc., and have right views, will after death, at the breaking up of the body, be born in a happy state, a heavenly world. Now you have refrained from doing all these evil things, and what if these ascetics and Brahmins say is true? That is where you will go. Now if after death you go to a happy state, a heavenly world, come to me and declare that there is another world. You, gentlemen, are trustworthy and dependable, and what you have seen shall be as if I had seen it myself. So it will be. But although they agreed, they neither came to me nor did they send a messenger. That, Reverend Kassapa, is my reason for maintaining there is no other world, etc. And Reverend Kassapa said, well then, Prince, I will give you a parable, because some wise people understand what is said by means of parables. Suppose a man had fallen headfirst into a cesspit, that means a shithole, and you were to say to your men, pull that man out of the cesspit, and they would say, very good, and did so. Then you would tell them to clean his body thoroughly of the filth with bamboo scrapers, and then to give him a triple shampoo with yellow loam. Then you would tell them to anoint his body with oil, and then to clean him 3 times with fine soap powder. Then you would tell them to dress his hair and beard, and to adorn him with fine garlands, ointments, and clothes. Finally, you would tell them to lead him up to your palace, and let him indulge in the pleasures of the 5 senses, and they would do so. What do you think, Prince? Would that man, having been well washed, with his hair and beard dressed, adorned and garlanded, clothed in white, and having been conveyed up to the palace, enjoying and reveling in the pleasures of the 5 senses, want to be plunged once more into that cesspit? No, Reverend Kassapa. Why not? Because that cesspit is unclean and considered so, evil-smelling, horrible, revolting, and generally considered to be so. And Reverend Kassapa said, in just the same way, Prince, human beings are unclean, evil-smelling, horrible, revolting, and generally considered to be so by the Devas. So why should your friends, etc., who have not committed any of the offenses and who have after death been born in a happy state, a heavenly world, come back and say, there is another world, there is fruit of good and evil deeds. Therefore, Prince, admit that there is another world. Stop here for a moment. So here is another very good argument. This is a third argument that the person who has gone to heaven, why should he come back to the human world? He's enjoying himself. Just like that man pulled out of the shithole, enjoying himself in the palace. Why should he go back to the human world? So here you see this example. When you consider, you see, like some people, they go into a trance, and then they say, this God and that God has come. So in the same way, when you look at this, the God is enjoying himself in heaven. Why should he come into the human body, which is so smelly and revolting to him? So what comes is some very low spirits. Whatever you may say about that, Reverend Kassapa, I still think there is no other world. Have you any reason for this assertion, Prince? I have, Reverend Kassapa. What is that, Prince? Reverend Kassapa, I have friends who abstain from telling lies, from strong drink and sloth-inducing drugs. Eventually they become ill. There are certain ascetics and Brahmins who declare and believe that those who abstain from taking life and sloth-producing drugs, etc., will be born in a happy state, in a heavenly world, as companions of the 33 gods. But although they agreed, they neither came to me nor did they send a messenger. That, Reverend Kassapa, is my reason for maintaining there is no other world, etc. As to that, Prince, I will question you about it, and you shall answer as you think fit. That which is for human beings, Prince, 100 years, is for the 33 gods 1 day and night. 30 of such nights make a month, 12 such months a year, and 1,000 such years are the lifespan of the 33 gods. Now suppose they were to think, after we have indulged in the pleasures of the 5 senses, for 2 or 3 days we will go to Payasi and tell him there is another world. There are spontaneously born beings. There is fruit and result of good and evil deeds. Would they have done so? And he said, no, Reverend Kassapa, because we should be long since dead. But Reverend Kassapa, who has told you that the 33 gods exist and that they are so long-lived? I don't believe the 33 gods exist or are so long-lived. Prince, imagine a man who was blind from birth and could not see dark or light objects, or blue, yellow, red, or crimson ones, could not see the smooth and the rough, could not see the stars and the moon. He might say, there are no dark and light objects, and nobody can see them. There is no sun or moon, and nobody can see them. I am not aware of this thing, and therefore it does not exist. Would he be speaking rightly, Prince? No, Reverend Kassapa. There are dark and light objects, etc. There is a sun and a moon, and anyone who said, I am not aware of this thing, I cannot see it, and therefore it does not exist, would not be speaking rightly. Well, Prince, it appears that your reply is like that of the blind man when you ask how I know about the 33 gods and their longevity. Prince, the other world cannot be seen the way you think with the physical eye. Prince, those ascetics and Brahmins who seek in the jungle thickets and the recesses of the forest for a resting place that is quiet with little noise, they stay there unwearied, ardent, restrained, purifying the divine eye. And with that purified divine eye that exceeds the powers of human sight, they see both this world and the next, and spontaneously born beings. That, Prince, is how the other world can be seen, and not the way you think with the physical eye. Therefore, Prince, admit that there is another world, that there are spontaneously born beings, and that there is fruit and result of good and evil deeds. Stop here for a moment. So here, if a person has gone to the 33 gods and he's enjoying life there, he won't think of coming back for at least 2 or 3 days until he's enjoyed a bit more. By the time he wants to come back, his friends would have died. Whatever you may say about that, Reverend Kassapa, I still think there is no other world. Have you any reason for this assertion, Prince? I have, Reverend Kassapa. What is that, Prince? Well, Reverend Kassapa, I see here some ascetics and Brahmins who observe morality and are well conducted, and who want to live, who do not want to die, who desire comfort and hate suffering. And it seems to me that if these good ascetics and Brahmins, who are so moral and well conducted, know that after death they will be better off, that these good people would now take poison, take a knife and kill themselves, hang themselves or jump off a cliff. But though they have such knowledge, they still want to live, do not want to die. They desire comfort and hate suffering. And that, Reverend Kassapa, is my reason for maintaining there is no other world. Well then, Prince, I will give you a parable, because some wise people understand what is said by means of parables. Once upon a time, Prince, a certain Brahmin had 2 wives. One had a son 10 or 12 years old, while the other was pregnant and nearing her time when the Brahmin died. Then this youth said to his mother's co-wife, Lady, whatever wealth and possessions, silver or gold there may be, is all mine. My father made me his heir. At this, the Brahmin lady said to the youth, Wait, young man, until I give birth. If the child is a boy, one portion will be his, and if it is a girl, she will become your servant." The youth repeated his words a second time and received the same reply. When he repeated them a third time, the lady took a knife and, going into an inner room, cut open her belly, thinking, "If only I could find out whether it is a boy or a girl." And thus she destroyed herself and the living embryo, and the wealth as well, just as fools do who seek their inheritance unwisely, heedless of hidden danger. In the same way, Prince, you will foolishly enter on hidden dangers, but unwisely seeking for another world, just as the Brahmin lady did in seeking her inheritance. But Prince, those ascetics and Brahmins who observe morality and are well conducted do not seek to hasten the ripening of that which is not yet ripe, but rather they wisely await its ripening. Their life is profitable to those ascetics and Brahmins, for the longer such moral and well-conducted ascetics and Brahmins remain alive, the greater the merit that they create. They practice for the welfare of the many, for the happiness of many, out of compassion for the world, for the profit and benefit of devas and humans. Therefore, Prince, admit that there is another world. I'll stop here for a moment. So here, this Prince Payasi is also quite smart. He's saying if there is another world, then these ascetics and Brahmins, they should commit suicide so that they can go to heaven faster. But this Arahan is smarter, so he gave a very good example of this pregnant woman. And this last part, you see, is quite interesting, that the longer ascetic or Brahmin lives, the more merit he creates, because in the human world, we can create a lot of merit or evil. In the human world, we create more karma than other places of rebirth. Whatever you may say about that, Reverend Kassapa, I still think there is no other world. Have you any reason for this assertion, Prince? I have, Reverend Kassapa. What is that, Prince? Reverend Kassapa, take the case that they bring a thief before me caught in the act and say, "Here, Lord, is a thief caught in the act. Sentence him to whatever punishment you wish." And I say, "Take this man and put him alive in a jar. Seal the mouth and close it with a damp skin. Give it a thick covering of damp clay. Put it in an oven and light the fire." And they do so. When we are sure the man is dead, we remove the jar, break the clay, uncover the mouth, and watch carefully. Maybe we can see his soul escaping. But we do not see any soul escaping, and that is why, Reverend Kassapa, I believe there is no other world. As to that, Prince, I will question you about it, and you shall reply as you think fit. Do you admit that when you have gone for your midday rest, you have seen pleasant visions of parks, forests, delightful country, and lotus ponds? That means in your dreams. I do, Reverend Kassapa. And at that time, are you not watched over by hunchbacks, dwarfs, young girls, and maidens? I am, Reverend Kassapa. And do they observe your soul entering or leaving your body? No, Reverend Kassapa. So they do not see your soul entering or leaving your body even when you are alive. Therefore, how could you see the soul of a dead man entering or leaving his body? Therefore, Prince, admit that there is another world. So here, this is another good example and argument they put forth. This Payasi, probably he has tried this. He put this man alive in a jar and lighted the fire until the man is dead. Whatever you may say about that, Reverend Kassapa, I still think there is no other world. Have you any reason for this assertion, Prince? I have, Reverend Kassapa. What is that, Prince? Reverend Kassapa, take the case that they bring a thief before me, and I say, weigh this man on the scales alive, then strangle him and weigh him again. And they do so. As long as he was alive, he was lighter, softer and more flexible. But when he was dead, he was heavier, stiffer and more inflexible. And that, Reverend Kassapa, is my reason for maintaining there is no other world. Well then, Prince, I will give you a parable. Suppose a man weighed an iron ball that had been heated all day, blazing, burning, fiercely glowing. And suppose that after a time when it had grown cold and gone out, he weighed it again. At which time would it be lighter, softer or more flexible? When it was hot, burning and glowing, or when it was cold and extinguished? Reverend Kassapa, when that ball of iron is hot, burning and glowing with the elements of fire and air, then it is lighter, softer and more flexible. When without those elements it has grown cold and gone out, it is heavier, stiffer and more inflexible. Well then, Prince, it is just the same with the body. When it has life, heat and consciousness, it is lighter, softer and more flexible. But when it is deprived of life, heat and consciousness, it is heavier, stiffer and more inflexible. In the same way, Prince, you should consider there is another world. Stop here for a moment. So here, this Prince Payasi, they caught a thief, and he weighed this thief. And then, after they killed the thief, and maybe after some time, the corpse becomes stiff already, and then he weighed it again. Then he found that it was heavier. But his reasoning is that if there's a soul inside the body, then when the person dies, the soul would leave the body. So the dead corpse should be lighter. So he said, but it's not true, it's heavier. So the Arahant gave him a very good example. Whatever you may say about that, Reverend Kassapa, I still think there is no other world. Have you any reason for this assertion, Prince? I have, Reverend Kassapa. What is that, Prince? Reverend Kassapa, take the case of a thief that they bring before me, and I say, kill this man without wounding his cuticles, skin, flesh, sinews, bones or marrow. And they do so. That means they skin him alive. When he is half dead, I say, now lay this man on his back, and perhaps we shall be able to see his soul emerging. They do so, but we cannot see his soul emerging. Then I say, turn him face downwards on his side, on the other side, stand him up, stand him with his head, stand him on his head, thump him with your fist, stone him, hit him with sticks, strike him with swords, shake him this way and that, and perhaps we shall be able to see his soul emerging. So he's telling the people to do all kinds of things to frighten the soul so that the soul will come out and they can see. And they do all these things, but although he has eyes, he does not perceive objects or their spheres. Although he has ears, he does not hear sounds. Although he has a nose, he does not smell smells. Although he has a tongue, he does not taste tastes. Although he has a body, he does not feel tangibles or their spheres. And that is why, Reverend Kassapa, I believe there is no other world. Well then, Prince, I will give you a parable. Once there was a trumpeter who took his trumpet and went into the border country. On coming to a village, he stood in the village center, blew his trumpet 3 times, and then putting it down on the ground, sat down to one side. Then, Prince, these border folk thought, where does that sound come from that is so delightful, so sweet, so intoxicating, so compelling, so captivating? They addressed the trumpeter and asked him about this. Friends, this trumpet is where those delightful sounds come from. So then they laid the trumpet on his back, crying, "Speak, Mr. Trumpet, speak." But the trumpet never uttered a sound. Then they turned it face downwards, on his side, on his other side, stood it up, stood it on his head, thumped it with their fists, stoned it, beat it with sticks, struck it with swords, shook it this way and that, crying, "Speak, Mr. Trumpet, speak." But the trumpet never uttered a sound. The trumpeter thought, what fools these border folk are. How stupidly they searched for the sound of the trumpet. And as they watched him, he took the trumpet, blew it 3 times and went away. And those border folk thought, it seems that when the trumpet is accompanied by a man, by effort and by the wind, then it makes a sound. But when it is not accompanied by a man, by effort and by the wind, then it makes no sound. In the same way, Prince, when this body has life, heat and consciousness, then it goes and comes back. stands and sits and lies down, sees things with his eyes, hears with his ears, smells with his nose, tastes with his tongue, feels with his body, and knows mental objects with its mind. But when he has no life, heat, or consciousness, it does none of these things. In the same way, Prince, you should consider there is another world. Stop here for a moment. So this is the 8th argument. So this Prince has given this example, what he did with the thief. Skin him alive and then try to see the soul come out. And when he does not see the soul emerging, he does everything to force the soul to come out, and still he does not see. So this Arahant gave him an excellent argument about the trumpet. Whatever you may say about that, Reverend Kassapa, I still think there is no other world. Have you any reason for this assertion, Prince? I have, Reverend Kassapa. What is that, Prince? Reverend Kassapa, take the case of a thief they bring before me, and I say, strip away this man's outer skin, and perhaps we shall be able to see his soul emerging. Then I tell them to strip away his inner skin, his flesh, sinews, bones, bone marrow, but still we cannot see any soul emerging. And that is why, Reverend Kassapa, I believe there is no other world. Well then, Prince, I will give you a parable. Once there was a matted hair fire worshipper who dwelt in the forest in a leaf hut, and a certain tribe was on the move, and its leader stayed for one night near the fire worshipper's dwelling, and then left. So the fire worshipper thought he would go to the site to see if he could find anything he could make use of. He got up early and went to the site, and there he saw a tiny, delicate baby boy lying abandoned on his back. At the sight he thought, it would not be right for me to look on and let a human being die. I had better take this child to my hermitage, take care of him, feed him and bring him up. So he did so. When the boy was 10 or 12, the hermit had some business to do in the neighborhood. So he said to the boy, I want to go to the neighborhood, my son. You look after the fire and don't let it go out. If it should go out, here is an axe, here are some sticks, here are the fire sticks, so you can relight the fire and look after it. Stop here for a moment. These fire worshippers, they worship the fire god, so they never allow the fire to go out. So he's telling the boy that if the fire should go out, you must light the fire again. Having thus instructed the boy, the hermit went into the neighborhood. But when the boy, being absorbed in his games, let the fire go out, then he thought, Father said such and such, relight the fire and look after it. Now I better do so. So he chopped up the fire sticks with the axe, thinking, I expect I'll get a fire this way. But he got no fire. He cut the fire sticks into 2, into 3, into 4, into 5, 10, 100 pieces. He splintered them. He pounded them into a mortar. He winnowed them in the great wind, thinking, I expect I'll get a fire this way. But he got no fire. And when the hermit came back, having finished his business, he said, Son, why have you let the fire go out? And the boy told him what had happened. The hermit thought, how stupid this boy is, how senseless, what a thoughtless way to try to get a fire. So while the boy looked on, he took the fire sticks and rekindled the fire, saying, Son, that's the way to rekindle a fire, not the stupid, senseless, thoughtless way you tried to do it. Just the same way, Prince, you are looking foolishly, senselessly, and unreasonably for another world. Prince, give up this evil viewpoint, give it up. Do not let it cause you misfortune and suffering for a long time. Stop here for a moment. So this boy doesn't know how to make this fire. The fire sticks, you got to put a bit of, fine material, fine wood, then they got to rub the 2 fire sticks with the fine material until the fire stick becomes very hot. And the fine material will kindle and start a fire. But this boy didn't know how to do it. So in the same way, this prince he was trying to find the soul. And He did all these things, cutting the skin, cutting the flesh, etc., but could not find the soul. Even though you say this, Reverend Kassapa, still I cannot bear to give up this evil opinion. Prince Pasenadi of Kosala knows my opinions, and so do kings abroad. If I give it up, they will say, what a fool Prince Payasi is, how stupidly he grasps at wrong views. I will still stick to this view out of anger, contempt and spite. Well then, Prince, I will give you a parable. Once, Prince, a great caravan of 1,000 carts was travelling from east to west, and wherever they went, they rapidly consumed all the grass, wood and green stuff. Now this caravan had 2 leaders, each in charge of 500 carts, and they thought, this is a great caravan of 1,000 carts. Wherever we go, we use up all the supplies. Perhaps we should divide the caravan into 2 groups of 500 carts each, and they did so. Then one of the leaders collected plenty of grass, wood and water and set off. After 2 or 3 days' journey, he saw a dark, red-eyed man coming towards him wearing a quiver and a wreath of white water lilies, with his clothes and hair all wet, driving a donkey chariot whose wheels were splashed with mud. On seeing this man, the leader said, where do you come from, sir? And he said, from such and such a place. And where are you going? To such and such a place. Has there been much rainfall in the jungle ahead? And he said, oh yes, sir, there has been a great deal of rain in the jungle ahead of you. The roads are well watered, and there is plenty of grass, wood and water. Throw away all the grass, wood and water you already got. You will make rapid progress with lightly laden carts, so do not tire your draft oxen. The caravan leader told the carters what the man had said. Throw away the grass, wood and water, and they did so. But at the first camping place, they did not find any grass, wood or water, nor in the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth or seventh, and thus they all came to ruin and destruction. And whatever there was of them, men and cattle, they were all gobbled up by that Yaka spirit, and only their bones remained. And when the leader of the second caravan was sure the first caravan had gone far enough, he stocked up with plenty of grass, wood and water. After 2 or 3 days' journey, this leader saw a dark, red-eyed man coming towards him, who advised him to throw away his stocks of grass, wood and water. Then the leader said to the carters, this man told us that we should throw away the grass, wood and water we already have. But he is not one of our friends and relatives, so why should we trust him? So do not throw away the grass, wood and water we have. Let the caravan continue on its way with the goods we have brought, and do not throw any of them away. The carters agreed and did as they said. At the first camping place, they did not find any grass. Did not find any grass, wood or water, nor at the second, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth or seventh. But there they saw the other caravan that had come to ruin and destruction, and they saw the bones of those men and cattle that had been gobbled up by the Yaka spirit. Then the caravan leader said to the carters, that caravan came to ruin and destruction through the folly of its leader. So now let us leave behind such of our goods as are of little value, and take whatever is of greater value from the other caravan. And they did so. And with that wise leader, they passed safely through the jungle. In the same way, Prince, you will come to ruin and destruction if you foolishly and unwisely seek the other world in the wrong way. Those who think they can trust anything they hear are heading for ruin and destruction, just like those carters. Prince, give up this evil viewpoint. Give it up. Do not let it cause you misfortune and suffering for a long time. Stop here for a moment. This is a very classic example this Arahant has given. Not to trust any person you are not familiar with. It's very good advice. And it brings to my mind that nowadays there are many so-called Dhamma teachers and meditation teachers who teach all kinds of things different from what the Buddha says. So if people trust them, These people come from foreign countries, come from different places. You don't know them, but many of our Malaysians, similarly with other people in the world, you just trust these people instead of trusting the Buddha. The Buddha said that we should only follow his suttas and the Vinaya, not any other teacher. But a lot of people, instead of following the Buddha, they go and follow all these other teachers who are teaching wrong things, wrong view. So they end up just like this caravan leader, the caravan gobbled up by the yakka, red-eyed man is the yakka. Yakka is red eyes. So those don't trust anybody you're not familiar with. Only somebody you know for a long time. The Buddha says it's very hard to judge a person. You must associate with him for a long time, and you must be very observant. Then only you know a person's heart. Even though you say this, Reverend Kassapa, still I cannot bear to give up this evil opinion. If I give it up, they will say, what a fool Prince Payasi is. Well then, Prince, I will give you a parable. Once there was a swine herd who was going from his own village to another. There he saw a heap of dry dung that had been thrown away, and he thought, there's a lot of dry dung somebody's thrown away. That would be food for my pigs. I ought to carry it away. And he spread out his cloak, gathered up the dung in it, made it into a bundle, and put it on his head, and went on. But on his way back, there was a heavy shower of unseasonable rain. And he went on his way, bespattered with oozing, dripping dung to his fingertips, and still carrying his load of dung. Those who saw him said, you must be mad, you must be crazy. Why do you go along carrying that load of dung that's oozing and dripping all over you down to your fingertips? And he said, you are the ones who are mad, you are the ones that are crazy. This stuff is food for my pigs. Prince, you speak just like the dung carrier in my parable. Prince, give up this evil viewpoint. Give it up. Do not let it cause you misfortune and suffering for a long time. Stop here for a moment. So this prince refused to give up the view that he's carrying. So this Arahant gave him the parable of this guy who breeds swine or pigs and is carrying all this dung on his head. Even though it's raining, he still refused to give up the dung. Even though you say this, Reverend Kassapa, still I cannot bear to give up this evil opinion. If I give it up, they will say, what a fool Prince Payasi is. Well then, Prince, I will give you a parable. Once there were two gamblers using nuts as dice. One of them, whenever he got the unlucky dice, swallowed it. The other noticed what he was doing and said, well, my friend, you are the winner, all right. Give me the dice and I will make an offering of them. All right, said the first, and gave them to him. Then that one filled the dice with poison and then said, come on, let's have a game. The other agreed. They played again, and once again the one player, whenever he got the unlucky dice, swallowed it. The second watched him do so and then uttered this verse, the dice is smeared with burning stuff, though the swallower doesn't know. Swallow cheat and swallow well, bitter it will be like hell. Prince, you speak just like the gambler in my parable. Prince, give up this evil viewpoint. Give it up. Do not let it cause you misfortune and suffering for a long time. This is another good argument. Even though you say this, Reverend Kassapa, still I cannot give up this evil opinion. If I give it up, they will say, what a fool Prince Payasi is. Well then, Prince, I will give you a parable. Once the inhabitants of a certain neighborhood migrated, and one man said to his friend, come along, let's go to that neighborhood. We might find something valuable. His friend agreed. So they went to that district and came to a village street. And there they saw a pile of hemp that had been thrown away. And one said, here's some hemp. You make a bundle, I'll make a bundle, and we'll both carry it off. The other agreed, and they did so. Then coming to another village street, they found some hemp thread, and one said, this pile of hemp thread is just what we wanted the hemp for. Let's each throw away our bundle of hemp, and we'll go on with a load of hemp thread each. And the other friend said, I brought this bundle of hemp a long way and is well tied up. That will do for me. You do as you like. So his companion threw away the hemp and took the hemp thread. Coming to another village street, they found some hemp cloth, and one said, This pile of hemp cloth is just what we wanted the hemp or hemp thread for. Throw away your load of hemp, and I'll throw away my load of hemp thread, and we'll go on with the load of hemp cloth each. But the other replied as before. So the one companion threw away the hemp thread and took the hemp cloth. And in another village they saw a pile of flax, something more valuable. In another linen thread, in another linen cloth, in another cotton, in another cotton thread, in another cotton cloth, in another iron, in another copper, in another tin, in another lead, in another silver, in another gold. Then the one said, This pile of gold is just what we wanted, the hemp thread, the hemp cloth, the flax, linen thread, linen cloth, cotton thread, cotton cloth, iron, copper, tin, lead, silver for. You throw away your load of hemp, and I'll throw away my load of silver, and we'll both go on with the load of gold each. Again his friend said, I brought this load of hemp a long way, and it's well tied up. That will do for me. You do as you like. And this companion threw away the load of silver and took the load of gold. Then they came back to their own village. And there the one who brought a load of hemp gave no pleasure to his parents, nor to his wife and children, nor to his friends and colleagues. And he did not even get any joy or happiness from it himself. But the one who came back with a load of gold pleased his parents, his wife and children, his friends and colleagues, and he derived joy and happiness from it himself as well. Prince, you speak just like the hemp bearer in my parable. Prince, give up this evil view. Give it up. Do not let it cause you misfortune and suffering for a long time. So this is the last 13th argument the Arahant gave to this Prince Payasi. This last one is very good. Saying, just like this stupid man, he found a bit of a pile of hemp, and he refused to change it for any other thing. Even though they keep meeting more and more valuable things, he refused to change. Just carry on the same pile of hemp. And his friend, each time his friend saw something more valuable, he threw what he was carrying away and carried something more valuable. And finally, the most valuable thing he could find was gold. And brought back a lot of gold, whereas his friend brought back only this hemp. So in the same way, this Prince Payasi refused to change his view, carrying that useless, wrong view. And then finally, this Prince Payasi said, I was pleased and delighted with the Reverend Kassapa's first parable, and I wanted to hear his quick-witted replies to questions, because I thought he was a worthy opponent. Excellent, Reverend Kassapa, excellent. It is as if someone were to set up what had been knocked down, or to point out the way to one who had got lost, or to bring an oil lamp into a dark place, so that those with eyes could see what was there. Just so has the Reverend Kassapa expounded the Dhamma in various ways, and I, Reverend Kassapa, go for refuge to the Blessed Lord, to the Dhamma and to the Sangha. May the Reverend Kassapa accept me from this day forth as a lay follower as long as life shall last. And Reverend Kassapa, I want to make a great sacrifice. Instruct me, Reverend Kassapa, how this may be to my lasting benefit and happiness. Stop here for a moment. So here, finally, he acknowledged that he was wrong, that this Reverend Kassapa is pointing out the way to him who was lost. So he became a lay disciple, and he asked for instructions how to make a great sacrifice. Prince, when a sacrifice is made at which oxen are slain, or goats, fowls or pigs, or various creatures are slaughtered, and the participants have wrong view, wrong thought, wrong speech, wrong action, wrong livelihood, wrong effort, wrong mindfulness and wrong concentration, then that sacrifice is of no great fruit or profit. It is not very brilliant and has no great radiance. Suppose, Prince, a farmer went into a forest with plough and seed, and there in an untilled place with poor soil from which the stumps had not been uprooted, were to sow seeds that were broken, rotting, ruined by wind and heat, stale and not properly embedded in the soil, and the rain god did not send proper showers at the right time. Would those seeds germinate, develop and increase, and would the farmer get an abundant crop? No, Reverend Kassapa. Well then, Prince, it is the same with the sacrifice at which oxen are slain, etc., where the participants have wrong view, etc. But when none of these creatures are put to death, and the participants have right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, then that sacrifice is of great fruit and profit. It is brilliant and of great radiance. Suppose, Prince, a farmer went into the forest with a plough and seed, and there in a well-tilled place with good soil from which the stumps had been uprooted, were to sow seeds that were not broken, rotting, ruined by wind and heat, or stale, and were firmly embedded in the soil, and the rain god were to send proper showers at the right time. Would those seeds germinate, develop and increase, and would the farmer get an abundant crop? He would, Reverend Kassapa. In the same way, Prince, at a sacrifice at which no oxen are slain, etc., where the participants have right view, etc., then that sacrifice is of great fruit and profit. It is brilliant and of great radiance. Up here for a moment. So here the first thing, Reverend Kassapa is teaching him making a sacrifice not to kill any creatures and to have the noble eightfold path, to understand the noble eightfold path. Then Prince Payasi established a charity for ascetics and Brahmins, wayfarers, beggars and the needy. And there such food was given out as broken rice with sour gruel, and also rough clothing with bald fringes. And a young Brahmin called Uttara was put in charge of the distribution. Referring to it, he said, "Through this charity I have been associated with Prince Payasi in this world, but not in the next." And Prince Payasi heard of his words, so he sent for him and asked him if he had said that. "Yes, Lord, but why do you say such a thing? Friend Uttara, don't we who wish to gain merit expect a reward for our charity?" And Uttara said, "But Lord, the food you give, broken rice with sour gruel, you would not care to touch it with your foot, much less eat it. And the rough clothes and with bald fringes, you would not care to set foot on them, much less wear them. Lord, you are kind and gentle to us, so how can we reconcile such kindness and gentleness with unkindness and roughness?" And the prince said, "Well then, Uttara, you arrange to supply food as I eat and clothes such as I wear." "Very good, Lord," said Uttara, and he did so. And Prince Payasi, because he had established his charity grudgingly, not with his own hands, and without proper concern, like something casually tossed aside, was reborn after his death, at the breaking up of the body, in the company of the 4 great kings, in the empty Sri Saka mansion. But Uttara, who had given the charity ungrudgingly, with his own hands and with proper concern, not as something tossed aside, was reborn after death, at the breaking up of the body, in a good place, a heavenly realm, in the company of the 33 gods. And probably surrounded by a lot of Devis. Now at that time, the Venerable Gavampati was accustomed to go to the empty Sri Saka mansion for his midday rest. And Payasi of the Devas went to the Venerable Gavampati, saluted him and stood to one side. And the Venerable Gavampati said to him as he stood there, "Who are you, friend?" And he said, "Lord, I am Prince Payasi." And the Arahant said, "Friend, are you not the one who used to say, there is no other world, there are no spontaneously born beings, there is no fruit or result of good or evil deeds?" And he said, "Yes, Lord, I am the one who used to say that, but I was converted from that evil view by the noble Kumara Kassapa." And the Arahant asked him, "But where has the young Brahmin, Uttara, who was in charge of the distribution of your charity, has been reborn?" And the prince said, "Lord, he who gave the charity ungrudgingly was reborn in the company of the 33 gods. But I, who gave grudgingly, have been reborn here in the empty Sri Saka mansion. Lord, please, when you return to earth, tell people to give ungrudgingly and inform them of the way in which Prince Payasi and the young Brahmin Uttara have been reborn. And so the Venerable Gavampati, on his return to earth, declared, you should give ungrudgingly with your own hands, with proper concern, not carelessly. Prince Payasi did not do this, and at death, at the breaking up of the body, he was reborn in the company of the 4 great kings in the empty Sri Saka mansion, whereas the administrator of his charity, the young Brahmin Uttara, who gave ungrudgingly with his own hands, with proper concern and not carelessly, was reborn in the company of the 33 gods. That's the end of the sutta. So you see this Arahant, Venerable Gavampati, he used to spend the afternoon up in the heaven, in the heavenly mansion. Good to have psychic power when it's very hot, go to heaven. So this Prince Payasi, actually he was quite selfish. So when he did charity also, he gave not very good things. So because his Uttara criticized this, so he asked Uttara to go and do the charity. So he was not so happy to do it. That's why he didn't do it himself. He asked Uttara to do it. So because he gave grudgingly, so when the fruit ripened, he was born in heaven, but his palace was empty. He was the only one staying there, I think. Big palace, but empty. That's why the Arahant used to go and rest there. So this, you see from this sutta, the wit of this Arahant Kumara Kassapa, each time the Prince Payasi gave a reason, he would answer with a very excellent simile to show him he's wrong. Okay, anything to discuss?
I wrote this article who's Nepalese nun who's been gang raped in a train in a bus, and because of that she's been kicked out of the order. Is that normal? So I just want to know what your view on that.
Firstly, for a nun to be raped in India is quite common, especially like long ago, during the Buddha's time. But in the Vinaya books, we find even one Arahant nun called Upalavana, she was also raped. She used to stay alone in the forest kuti, and there was a young man who fell in love with her because she was very beautiful. So followed her to the kuti and hid under the bed. So when she came back after Pindabat and was alone, then he raped her. But we find in the Vinaya books that when this happens, then because the nun was forcefully raped, so she did not break any precept. So she does not have to disrobe. But in this case of this nun in Nepal, isn't it? Because she comes from a low caste. In India, Nepal, these countries, if you belong to a low caste, you sometimes the high caste people treat them like animals. So there is very strong discrimination, very unfair to them. So you see, like she's asked to disrobe, that's not proper, not according to the Buddha's teachings.
On page 353, paragraph number 357, paragraph number 13.
Mm-hmm.
So the Arahan is giving a parable of Abraham two wives.
Mm.
One is son 12, 10 or 12 years old, and the other is expecting and nearly almost about to give birth.
Okay.
And when he said, supposing if the second one will cut open the belly,
Mm-hmm.
one of it is a boy or girl, and then that one will destroy the living embryo and wealth. So I don't understand how that will destroy wealth.
Not really destroy the wealth, destroy the wealth for the son. Suppose now the son to be the embryo to be born is actually a boy, then by doing what she did, then the boy being killed, he would not inherit the wealth, so he has destroyed his wealth. The wealth for this baby, because by slitting her belly, she has killed herself, killed the embryo, and the wealth for the boy is also killed, is also destroyed. There's provided it's a boy. Okay.
I think I'd like to go back to last night's on the fourth level school. We'd like to discuss on one of the passages that is restlessness. How restlessness is related to delighting, seeking delight here and there. And because of craving, we tend to be very restless, wanting this, wanting that. For lay people, we tend to seek sensual desire, for food, for go. But when we try to practice more seriously, that's my observation. I may be wrong, but I find that lay people and Indian nuns, they seem very restless. They tend to go from one ajahn or one sayadaw to another, and we don't see them stay put in one place for very long. So is this a form of craving a bit?
When you say craving, normally we refer to craving for sensual pleasures, or the will to live, But in this case, it is plain restlessness, The fact that you cannot stay put in one place is plain restlessness.
But what about like some of us like to experience, like I was thinking of more of craving to be somewhere or not to be somewhere. For example, I want to be in this monastery, after a while I get tired. I want to go to another monastery, experience new things or getting new experience. Is that would it help in our cultivation?
Oh, it definitely does not help, because a lot of people don't realize that our real teacher is the Buddha. And now that the Buddha is gone, the suttas, our real teacher, that was stated very clearly by the Buddha in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, when the Buddha said, take the Dhamma and the Vinaya as your teacher after I am gone. And the Dhamma refers to the suttas, as stated in Anguttara Nikaya 4.180. And Vinaya is only for monks and nuns. So for lay people, the real teacher is the suttas. So going here and there looking for a teacher is is not the right thing to do, because the Buddha also said, be a lamb unto yourself, be a refuge unto yourself, with no other refuge. That means no other person. Take the Dhamma as your lamb, take the Dhamma as your refuge, with no other refuge. So we should depend on ourselves and on the Buddha's teachings. So all the instructions are in the suttas. We study the suttas enough, then we should strive on our own. And the problem is, instead of staying in one place and fighting with our defilements as we should do, some people, they run here, run there. That means you are just running away from your defilements. In fact, very often the cause of your running away is actually the defilements. The defilements itself is causing a person to run here and run there. But he doesn't see it. Because I always say we have a lawyer bureau inside here. A lawyer in our mind always giving reasons for our actions. So you can see from the Buddha's disciples that during the Buddha's time, the monks, after they renounce, they have to follow a teacher for 5 years. And actually during these 5 years, they are not... The aim of following the teacher is to study the suttas and the Vinaya, to get a good grounding on the suttas and the Vinaya. Not so much on meditation, although they can meditate, but the foundation should be on suttas and Vinaya. After 5 years, then the Buddha encouraged these monks to go off and live alone. When they live alone, then they strive in meditation, already with a good background, with a good foundation in the suttas and the Vinaya. Then they go and strive, and when they go and strive, then they don't have to study the suttas and the Vinaya anymore, because they should be very familiar with it already. Then they do meditation 24 hours a day. But nowadays, a lot of people are not willing to put the effort to master the sutta and the Vinayas, and they put the cart before the horse, instead of studying getting the foundation first. They want to meditate, they want to do other things. There are a lot of other things a new monk has to do. If you have a good monastery, like some of the Thai forest monasteries, they stress a lot on, for example, duties in the monastery, to learn to serve the senior monks, to learn to do all the work that's necessary in the monastery. But nowadays you find a lot of lay people, they go to meditation centers where they do nothing but meditate. Then one day when they decide to become a monk, they expect once they wear the robe, they do nothing but meditate. They can either they go to the meditation center and stay there, don't come to a place like a forest monastery. Forest monastery is more of a complete training, just like in the Buddha's time. During the Buddha's time, the monks had to build the kutis. It's not that the monks don't do anything. If they stay together in a monastery, they have to do all the work that is necessary to upkeep the monastery, to keep the monastery running. But if they really are serious and want to practice, then they go alone, go and stay alone. Don't mix with other people. So coming back to this, these monks running here and there, they run here and there. But then if they don't belong to a monastery, later when they are old, then they find they have no monastery to turn to. Monks, when we live together, there is camaraderie, there is a friendship that is built up after many years, so that we develop this friendship over the years, and then we have this inclination to look after each other. But we find, like in Malaysia, some Mahayana monks, they take disciples, but they don't train the disciples don't live with them. And then we can see very clearly some of these old Mahayana monks, when they are very old, none of the disciples look after them. because they have always been independent. And what happens? These old monks are looked after by lay people. The lay people, when the old monk cannot bathe for himself, cannot look after himself, the lay people bathe the old monk, look after him. But after some time, they also get tired of doing it. They don't want to do it all the time. Then they have to end up like an old folks home like that, or a nursing home. So a lot of people new in the Dhamma, they are not experienced. They don't know all these things.
They would like to ask something from the advice on how to overcome restlessness. Because we know that they always stay put in the place.
The only way, just like the best way, just like some people ask how to overcome anger. The best way to overcome anger and restlessness is to work very hard to calm the mind. If you can develop tranquility, one-pointedness of mind, then the restlessness will go down, the anger also will go down, the lust also will go down, all these hindrances will go down. But it's not easy to able to attain one-pointedness of mind. Just now I forgot to mention, even like this Zen school, which is famous for meditation, in the China, the Chanzhong, the original Zen school before it moved to Japan and became Zen. They have a tradition when the first 5 years when a person becomes a monk, he has to chop wood, he has to plant vegetables and learn the suttas and the Vinaya. He's not allowed to meditate for 5 years in the original Chanzhong meditation school. After 5 years, then he meditates and does nothing else. So there is a training, a time of training, and a time of practice. A lot of people don't know. Just like some people, they learn Kung Fu. Straight away, they want to kick here, kick there, and want to learn all the moves. But I've met an old man, a layman who came from China, who was trained in the real Shaolin Kung Fu. And he told me for 1 year, when he went to learn Shaolin Kung Fu, he was not asked to do anything except Ma Po, the what do you call it? The horse stance. Just that. Of course, a lot of people they think, what's the use of all this? So one day he was doing his horse stance. The master came from behind and kicked him just behind the knee, and then he went down. So told him, if your stand is not strong enough and you fall down, you cannot fight anymore. So you got to be able to stand all the time, whatever happens, whatever blows. So this basic foundation is real Kung Fu. 1 year you do nothing except just the Ma Po or stand. Foundation is not there how to kick, how to do all the other moves. So in the same way, if you want to practice meditation and all that, without the proper foundation in the suttas, the knowledge of what the Buddha taught, the proper Noble Eightfold Path, how to practice, everything is in the suttas. But you don't want, you want to go straight into meditation, then you never become an expert. Half-baked, neither here, neither there.
Frankly, I don't quite understand the parable of the ties on the nuts.
Where?
Page 364, the two temples using nuts as ties.
364.
The parable of the two temples using nuts as ties.
I think what it means is that if you hold on to this wrong view and you don't give it up, it's going to harm you. Just like this person, he wants to cheat all the time. He keeps cheating. and then when people get to know it, then he will die like this. You can cheat once in a blue moon. What did Abraham Lincoln say? You can what? You can fool some people some of the time, and you can you can fool all the people some of the time, or some of the people all of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. So here, like this man, he wants to cheat all the time, then he will suffer for it. Once people know that he cheats, then this is the result. Put poison in that thing. So if you hold on to the wrong view without changing it.
The whole feeling that everything was alright. I feel the last part is a twist, in the sense that he didn't seem to learn the Eightfold Path in terms of the most basic charitable thing that he should be. I thought he learned the Eightfold Path, and Dharma was supposed to be the most basic. Yet he didn't learn it well, and in the end he did touching in and ended up and he mentioned so I thought the whole sutta, I felt it was a very good sutta. Except the last part I couldn't understand myself.
No, this whole sutta is about changing his wrong view. Okay, so but that wrong view of his is worldly wrong view. It's not Aryan. When he changed his wrong view, he got worldly right view, but it is not Aryan right view. So he's still a very worldly person. He's not somebody who is practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. Only a monk wants to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. People like this Arahant, because their mind is very clear, get totally rid of the hindrances, they think very sharp. They can think very sharp, they can answer and give similes like this, to the point. Similarly, you find the Buddha, when the Buddha gives parables, it's also like this, straight to the point.
Does Digha or evil like eat human beings?
Not all.
I thought good ones. Is there a joke like
No. Yakas are like mountain spirits. We have heard of fierce mountain spirits. There are some people, they climb the mountains, and the mountains seldom climb, and sometimes they get into serious problem. Sometimes they go to these kind of places, then they get lost, and then a few days later people find them dead. There is a sutta called the Attanattiya Sutta, I think we haven't come to it, where the king of the Yakas came to teach the Buddha protection, a chant, and he said that many of these Yakas, they don't like the Buddha and they don't like the Buddha's disciples, because their way of finding food is to kill. Like these nagas, snake spirits, garudas, because they are low spirits. To find their food, they have to kill, to eat. Just like human beings, a lot of human beings, we hunt to get our food, kill. So this Atanatya Sutta, the Yakha king, taught the Buddha chant to teach to other monks, so that when they go to lonely places and they meet these fierce yakas, if they do this chant, there are the names, you call out the names of many of these yaka chiefs, like tiger generals, warlords. So when these yakas hear, they get scared. Taiko, calling the name of the Taiko. Oh, okay.
Charles Darwin, the English scientist, famous for the evolution theory of which says that humans are descendants of apes and monkeys and stuff. Now, in Buddhism, animals are seen as a lower rebirth. It's said that we humans are descendants of animals, or as some may say we are animals. What is the human realm?
Human realm is supposed to be higher than animals, but among humans also you find a great difference. Those in European countries and America, you find because their blessings are higher, they have a better life. And those with lower blessings, like in African countries, then they suffer more. Or like today, you went to this mentally retarded children's home, you find these children, their level is like an animal. But generally, humans are supposed to be higher than animals.
Okay, one more question. I'd like to ask something on sloth and torpor. If we have jhanas, we are able to get rid of the bruises. It's like a catch-22 situation. Like most of us suffer from sloth and torpor, especially on a cold morning. Most of us will tend to be very drowsy and dozing off. So one day, was wondering how can we overcome sloth and torpor?
The only way is a super will. Even you see, like Mahamoggallana, when he was practicing, he also had sloth and torpor, and the Buddha had to come to him in the middle of the night to urge him on. And then because of his super will, he managed to strive in 7 days become an arahant. So that's all. There's no way, no other way. Have to a lot of effort.
Yeah, but the Buddha gave a lot of advice to Moggallana, like rubbing the ears, pulling the ears. Basically, to keep our body warm and so that we have more energy. But what's one thing that I say, we sit down there and we know that our mind is going to rinse it. So, should we break the sitting meditation and start walking? Because to me, I feel like if I continue that, then it becomes a habit.
Yes, you must not form a habit. No? So you have to be observant and use your own wisdom. There is no straight and fast rule. You notice in the suttas, the Buddha, when it comes to meditation, the Buddha gave some basic instructions on meditation, that's all. And that is enough. No need to say too much, because for each person is different. So you cannot say because you use a certain method, it was good for you, that is applicable to everybody else. It is not. You have to find your own way.
But then I say sitting, the posture is very important. See, some of us say our legs hurt, so we can't sit upright like most people do. So we're very lucky here when things pop up, sit high and everyone is sit. So but what if somebody will feel that they need to sit in a comfortable position rather than upright if they are not comfortable?
What we have, we make do with lah. Right? You must realize, like nowadays, we have so many things. You have bangku, the stool for you to sit. Worst come to the worst, you can sit on a chair to meditate. But you imagine during the Buddha's time, they didn't have all this. They sat under the tree in the forest, and they make do with all that. So must not pamper ourselves too much lah. Come, let's end here.